Hi everyone, Bonnie Negron here. If you're new to me, I'm the founder of Bonnie Career Services and the Career Shakeup community, where I help powerhouse professionals get clear on the next move, position themselves strategically, and land roles that align with both their value and their lifestyle without getting stuck in the random application cycle. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to someone incredibly special, Kristen, who went through our career shakeup process and truly exemplifies what's possible when you're committed to clarity, direction, and taking strategic action. Kristen recently retired from federal service. And after a long and impactful career, not only did she navigate a major life transition, she actually stepped into a brand new role within the healthcare field, 100% remote, and with an almost 20% salary increase. Her story is powerful, and I'm honored she's here to share it today and to inspire others who maybe are have been in her shoes like where she was a couple of months ago. So, Kristen, thank you so much for being here. Let's jump right in. To start, please tell everyone where
Sure.
you're
You're
calling in
welcome.
from today and give us a quick sense.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, tell us where you're calling in from.
I am in Minnesota, just outside the Twin Cities metro area, in a
Yeah, awesome.
little township called Now Then, Minnesota.
Awesome. Yes. And give us a quick sense of what were you doing career-wise before we started working together?
Yeah, I had been working for the Social Security Administration for 35 years in a variety of roles. The last role I'd been in for 10 years. We thought that that would be my lifelong employer until I was ready to retire.
Yeah. Yeah. And big transition, right? Major.
The way that led me to want to make this change. Um, and it just felt like the right thing to do for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And as you were approaching this transition, what was on your mind? Like, what were you hoping to figure out or get clarity on at that point?
Yeah, the biggest thing was how to translate the skills that I had in the work that I had done for so long into another job. I mean, I held a variety of positions, some management, some not, and was just really stuck with how do I make all of this big amount of experience turn into a resume and something that some other employer would be interested in.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a big roadblock for me.
Yeah, yeah. What you're describing, I mean, that is exactly where most of our clients start. They've built these successful careers, but when it's time to make a change, the path forward isn't always obvious, right? And
Yeah,
and that moment you just talked about, like that's usually the turning point. So once we get clear on direction, everything else starts to move faster, and with a lot more confidence, would you say? Which I feel like that's exactly
absolutely.
what happened for you.
Yeah, and part of that was, I mean, a lot of that was calls that I participated in. Taking the the test that
The
it that
disc
helps you,
assessment. Yeah.
yeah, the risk, yeah, that helps you sort out where your skills are. That was really important to me. I mean, I had an idea. I'm a detail-oriented person, and
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
be where I would land. But um, all of those things really helped increase my confidence so much from going to a position of what I would call weakness and lack of confidence to really being confident that I could make this change and that my skills were valuable and that other employers would be really interested in having me as part of their team.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. Now, during the program, was there a particular moment that like really shifted things for you, or where things started to click, where you started to like build that confidence, maybe something that helped you see your next chapter more clearly?
It was the calls about interviewing, honestly, that
Yeah.
to take what I've interviewed for other jobs, but all within SSA. So
Yeah.
to be able to speak in a way that speak about my experience in a way that would shed light and um, give a better understanding to those who are interviewing me, what I actually could bring to the table, and to know that actually I had a choice, that I
Yeah.
wasn't like begging them to hire me,
Right.
that there's a choice for me as part of that process as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love that. And it's interesting because that's like that's the exact point when momentum really picks up for so many of our clients because like once you see your new resume, your LinkedIn, you have your new
Yeah,
strategy, you feel better prepared for interviews and empowered,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
It
once
was
that, go ahead.
just and taking my federal resume for SSA was as daunting as possible, 31 pages long. I know that when I sent it to you, you were like, what?
Yes.
But and to boil that down to 2 pages was just, it's
Yeah.
so amazing. And the choice of words, and yeah, all of that was
Yeah.
very, very, very encouraging.
Yeah, that's very common though. Like when we work with our federal,
Yeah.
I heard they're changing that though. So like they're trying to
Oh,
change
good.
that in the federal service and have more, reduced pages, not these long length CVs. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
exciting.
Where you
Um,
list absolutely everything, and everything that you did,
exactly.
and every
Yeah. They're
position, and yeah.
they are changing that. So that's new. We've actually been doing a lot of research on that and what the new expectations are so we can
Good.
prepare for our clients. So that's awesome. But the point is too is that like once clarity in your search, right? I remember seeing your face on one of the calls when you were like, wow, I could do that role, right? Like once we
Yeah.
dove into
Yeah.
it and we started talking about titles and all of that, because that is a big turning point for a lot of our clients that we work with. And once that clarity lands, their confidence rises, their messaging strengthens, and the job search
Absolutely.
becomes more intentional instead of overwhelming. And I know when you first came, like overwhelm was part of it, which it
Oh,
happens
yeah.
for many of our clients. And that's exactly, what happened with you. You started showing up. I remember differently, like more clear, more aligned, excited, and definitely
Yeah.
more grounded in what you actually wanted. Um,
And the help from you to pick out those job titles was so valuable. Um, not knowing what roles existed in private industry in particular that would match with the skills that I had. So really, really, really helpful. And I remember that too. I'm like, wow, I really am a marketable person, and
Yeah,
and worth
absolutely. And
and
that's the thing,
worth.
the titles shift too. Like, titles can be different in one industry and be the exact same role in another industry with a completely different title. So when you stick to broad titles like project management or HR manager, like what exactly does that mean in each particular industry?
Yeah,
Because it does vary, right?
yeah,
I want to pause here because this is such an important point for like anyone listening. We've had people come into our world like thinking this is a magic ticket and that they
mm,
can attend a couple of calls, maybe skim a few trainings and the right role will just fall into their lap. But that's not how career transformation works, right? There's definitely a process. And honestly, those aren't the clients who get real results. The clients that I see consistently for doing this almost 10 years now, the clients who win, they're the ones who move quickly and land roles that fit their life and value. And they're the ones that treat this as a partnership.
yeah,
And that's what you did. I mean, you showed up, you asked questions, you leaned in, you took action in
yeah,
between sessions. You were consistent, you were engaged, and you actually used the support. And that's also why everything aligned, as fast as it did. So let's talk about what happened next, right? Because the way you
yeah.
moved into your new role was powerful and it happened pretty quickly. Um,
Did.
yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, I started applying for jobs. I applied for a job different than what the job is that I ended up landing with the company I'm working for. And I thought, I know someone there. I was working to find the hiring manager. I thought, well, I'm going to reach out to my contact there and see what it is that she can do in terms of finding a hiring manager. And she wasn't able to help me with that, but what she was able to help me with was getting my resume to her boss, who is the CFO for the company I'm working for, and getting that exposure, and just knowing that you've got to think about your contacts
Yes.
and reach out to them in any way they get. And this is something I had never dreamed of what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it was I mean, fortunately for me, I didn't have to go through all those layers of interviewing.
Yeah.
He reached out to me and we had a phone call and he offered me a job.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
It was
amazing.
very, yeah, it was like a dream, honestly, totally like
You
a dream.
think if you didn't have clarity on that end goal that you would have even known to reach out to this person at this particular
Oh, absolutely not.
company,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, and I never thought, oh, I could work for them in this capacity that I
Yeah.
that I currently am working for them. I was thinking of other leadership positions with them.
Yeah.
Um, and and this fell in my lap. Just,
Yeah.
it
Yeah, well, you know what they say, your
amazing.
network is your net worth.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
meanwhile, you had this contact right under your nose, but probably wouldn't have even considered her had you not gone through the process
Right.
of getting that clarity. And I mean,
Yes.
that's the important
Absolutely.
part. Some people don't even realize what they have open to them because they're just not focused on that end goal. They're just like, I'm open to anything and everything. And then
Yeah.
that strategy doesn't work. I mean, you ended up landing a brand new role in the healthcare field, fully remote, almost 20% salary increase, which is
Yeah.
incredible. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Tell everyone how it felt stepping into that position and realizing everything had aligned the way that it did.
Yeah, it felt really amazing. Um, and just the timing of it, it really everything really just lined up so perfectly. Um, it getting to know a whole new company, getting to figure out where I fit in, that's all obviously ongoing, but just stepping into the role and knowing that, hey, they picked me for this because they had a specific thing. They were able to use my experience to, I don't know, profit from. Um,
Yeah, you were an asset.
yeah,
You
yeah,
you were an
yeah, yeah,
asset to
yeah,
them. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's amazing to hear you say that, and it's such an important reminder for anyone watching. When your messaging is clear, when your direction is tight, and when you're positioned the right way, the market is going to respond very differently, despite what's going on in the world, despite what time of year it is, because I've witnessed this consistently with almost, 3,000 clients that I've worked with up until this
yeah,
point, and Kristen, you're a perfect example of what can happen when experience, clarity, and strategy work together. You weren't starting over, you were repositioning and reinventing. And, that's why the right opportunity showed up so quickly.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And the
yeah,
other thing I want to just be sure to say is
yeah,
don't be afraid to ask for the salary that you want.
that's right.
Um, know your worth, and be forthright with that. And I did that with I worked contacted a recruiter that another person I know worked with. Um, and when she asked what it was that I wanted for a salary, she's like, yeah, I mean, with your experience, that seems very reasonable. And so just another point that I know when I started, I'm like, boy, I don't know. I
Do I
just
have
want
to
to,
take a pay cut,
yeah,
right?
do I have to take it? And yes, I was so worried about
I was
that.
like, no, 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 no. We do
Yeah.
that work too, right? Salary benchmarking, knowing your value, knowing your worth, and
Yeah,
sticking to
that
with
helps
it.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah, so important. Well, that actually leads me to something I know will help a lot of people who are listening. For someone who's on the fence about getting support, maybe they've been trying to figure things out on their own, or they're not sure what their next step should be. What would
Hmm.
you want them to know?
Um, the investment is worth it. It is an investment to get this assistance, but it's well worth it. That all the way along that part of the journey, it was so important in order to be able to know that I had support in my corner and investing in myself and um, knowing that I'm worth it, honestly, that it was important enough to get some support to help me along that journey.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such powerful advice. And your journey is such a great example of what's possible when you're willing to lean into clarity and strategy instead of trying to kind of muscle through it alone and wing
Yeah.
it, you know? So
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. Kristen, thank you so much for sharing
Oh,
your
you're welcome.
story.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
incredibly proud of you. Congratulations
Thank
again,
you.
as you know, you've already started your new role. I know your experience is going to inspire so many other you know, leaders and professionals and high achievers who are ready to join their own career shakeup. So thanks everyone for being here, and we'll see you on the next success story.